to Nicki's Crochet Podcast, where you get to know the designers from a totally different perspective. And I'm so excited for you to be here. And remember to subscribe to my channel and the guest channel. And today I have a new guest, and that is Veronika from Blue Star Crochet. I am so excited for you to be here. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. So for those who don't know you, you live in England, but you didn't grow up in England. So tell us your story. How did you get to England, and how did you even start how to crochet in general?
So, I think my story is pretty much the same like 90% of the designers. I was taught by my mum when I was a little girl. But when I was a little girl, there was no phones, no games, consoles, no computers, and I know that makes me sound super old, but it
No.
wasn't such a long time ago. So yeah, I grew up as a kid that played outside and we did crafts and everything. So mum taught me how to crochet, how to single crochet and double crochet, because that's mostly what my mum used. So those were the stitches that she taught me at first. And yeah, I kind of made the first few projects, little pencil cases and bookmarks and stuff like that, just little quick projects. Then going through teenage years, it wasn't cool enough, so obviously that went to the back a bit. It was like, okay, let's not do that now because it's not so cool. But yeah, when I finished school, I moved to UK. What was initially meant to be a gap year, which turned into the last from 2006. So what we're now 16 years. So the gap year is still lasting. It's 16-year long gap. And yeah, when I was about 20, 21, I went to the shop here in UK, and I saw a crochet magazine, and I thought, oh, they do crochet magazines, So I picked up a copy, brought it home, and I was kind of looking at all these projects and all these things you can make with crochet, and I was amazed because obviously I was like single double crochet girl. That's all I kind of did. But yeah, I was amazed at what you can do with crochet, all different garments and different projects. So I kind of it like sparked the passion back up. I was like, wow, I know how to do this, like the basics. And I started exploring different stitches and techniques. And I was kind of like never follow the pattern. I kind of looked at things and I was right. Like if I wanted to make a bag for myself, I'll be like, right, I like the handles on that bag, but I like the shape of this bag. And I really like the stitch on that bag. So I just like combined the three together and made the bag I really liked. So that's basically what I did for a few years until I had my first boy in 2015. And I don't know what it's like over in America, but here, if you go to the shop to buy baby clothes, you get about 300 shelves with girls' clothes. And then in the very dusty corner at the back, there's like one shelf with boys' clothes. So it's, yeah, not a lot of choice. So I thought to myself, well, I really want to make him something nice. And I made him Tunisian crochet raglan style cardigan, just sort of off the top of my head. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. And I have no idea what possessed me to do that. But I took a picture of this cardigan and I emailed the editor of Inside Crochet magazine, which is like a national crochet magazine here in UK. And I just emailed her this picture, say, hey, this is what I made. What do you think? And I never ever expected a reply. But she actually replied to me and said, I really love it. I want to publish it in a magazine. Can you write the pattern? And I'm like, right, yeah, sure. I've written a pattern in my life before. I kind of scribbled a few notes and I thought to myself, okay, so I wasn't thrown in the deep end. I kind of pushed myself in the deep end and thought to myself, well, I'll just work out how to swim later. So yeah, that was my first design, first pattern that I had to write, and it had to be a magazine standard. It did go through a tech editor, but obviously the initial work that I submitted had to be something half decent. So it was a very steep learning curve, but that was my very first pattern, and that's where it all came from, and that's how I started.
You jumped right into like the cold water, not the lukewarm water, right into the cold water.
Freezing.
But a couple questions here. I mean, follow-up questions, because I think it's so really, really interesting. So first of all, Tunisian as your first pattern, like what? You went right to one of the hardest things and then you combine it with the cardigan? Like what? How did that even, I mean, how did you even think, oh, I'm going to do a Tunisian? Did you learn Tunisian first before you, or how did it, I mean, what was it going through your head to say, I'm going to go with the hardest stitch or one of the hardest stitches out there?
Do you know, I think it's one of the things that crocheters kind of strive for, sometimes to make things look knitted but still
Hmm.
use a crochet hook. So when I discovered Tunisian crochet, I'm like, I can use crochet hook and it looks like I've knitted it. You
Yeah.
know, I don't have to wave the two sticks. It's just one hook and I can make it look knitted. So I really fell in love with the technique, and I explored it for a little bit, but then again I kind of seen a little cardigan for boys and I thought I really like that, but I like it in Tunisian crochet. And I like it when you work it from the top down, because you can really try it on, you can measure it nicely in it, you
Hmm.
know whether it fits or whether you're going to be wasting your time and end up
Yeah.
with something that doesn't fit at all. So I combined the three together again and came up with the Tunisian style raglan cardigan for my little boy. I mean, you know, at the time, before
Amazing.
I knew the patterns, I was like, oh, this is okay, you know, it's working out, it's
Yeah.
fine. I mean, and then when the editor of the magazine said, well, can you write the pattern? I'm like, yeah, sure. Why
Oh,
not?
wow. That's amazing. I mean, seriously, like I bow down. That's amazing. I mean, just thinking as the first pound, like most people start with the first pound, like a hat or scarf. You jump right down. It's like, you know what? No,
Yeah.
no, it's not gonna happen. I'm just gonna go right to the hardest thing. I think it's brilliant. It's amazing. I mean, it makes you stand out. I mean, I have more respect for you two now just thinking about that.
Thank you.
But the other thing I was thinking about is you mentioned you love single crochet and double crochet. That's the first thing comes up in my mind was like, well, hang on, you grew up, oh no, you didn't grow up, but you learned crochet kind of also British. I mean, you learned crochet in two different languages. So like thinking the process through here, there's US terms, there's UK terms. When you say single double, which one are you referring to here? And do you write mostly
You.
US or UK?
Yeah, I mean, well, really, I first learned in Slovakian terms because
Hmm.
we've got our names for the
Right.
stitches. But when you then kind of translate it to what the stitches names mean,
Yeah.
they are US terms, because,
Got it.
and I prefer US terms as well because they just make more sense, because you start with one
Yes,
single, you don't start with double, you know.
I agree.
So yeah, it was. And then, I mean, this brings me on to another funny story, right? I was making a toy bunny. I think I even showed you the picture once before. And it was a UK magazine which was going on about double crochet, double crochet, and double crochet. And I thought, that is very odd for a toy, because surely that's going to show the stuffing. Because my like US terms brain is
Yes.
thinking double crochet is obviously the tallest stitch, and I'm
Yeah.
like, and I'm crocheting this bunny. It was a bunny, and I'm like working away on it, and it's just getting like longer and longer and longer. And I'm thinking like, okay, this is quite odd because it looks nothing like the picture. And I thought,
Yeah.
I'll just, you know, I hate frogging. I hate frogging. If I can get away with no frogging, I don't.
Yeah.
So I just carried on with it. And I'm like, I'm gonna stick with this project because like I really want to make a cute little bunny for my little boy. Well, it doesn't look like a bunny. It's not cute. And it's quite scary because it's got all this stuffing poking through the double crochet holes. But I mean, you know,
Yeah.
you live and learn, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, in the end, you can almost use it as a costume, right?
Absolutely.
That's hilarious. I mean, that's really cool. But because you started with a carding as your first pattern, was that really where you're like, you know what, I'm going to stick with it? Because I do see you crochet a lot of garments. You must love grading because, I mean, for me, that's like every time a horror story, like I love making myself a cardigan. But when it then comes to figuring out the different sizes, I love math, don't get me wrong, but it's a nightmare because it's different areas where you have to increase and decrease and all that stuff. Like, how did it come about? Like, do you feel like, oh, that is my thing? I love cardigans or garments in general.
Yes, that is what I really enjoy working on. I love making something either for myself or for the boys or for the husband to wear, and you know, just I don't think there is anything better for a designer. Like I
Yeah.
wore one of my sweaters out for breakfast with husband,
Oh, yeah.
and the lady, the waitress, she came up to me, she's like, I really love your sweater. Where did you get it? I'm like, I made it myself.
I
So
love
there
that.
is nothing better than that feeling when somebody
Yes.
asks you, where did you get, what you're wearing? And then you can actually say, well, I made it myself. And I want to give that feeling to everyone, no matter
Yeah.
what size or
Yeah.
what your style is. I sort of hope that the patterns are easy to adjust. And I grade them over 9 sizes anyway, but we all know that nobody fits. There is
Yes.
people that don't fit within those 9 sizes, people that are smaller, people that are bigger. So I do include like a size adjustment notes as well for the more kind of adventurous crocheter. Because when
Yeah.
I'm thinking back to when I designed the Tunisian cardigan for my boy, like I didn't quite know what I was doing back then. It was all like trial and error. And I'm hoping that there is crocheters out there that
Yeah.
when they look at the pattern and think, well, like the biggest size is still too small for me, but
Mhm.
there is lots of notes on what to do
Yeah.
that you can make it even bigger yourself. And I'm hoping that will sort of give them the power to do that and make some of the garment patterns, because it's fun. It's fun to make. It's fun to wear, and it's
Yes.
really nice when somebody compliments you on it.
For sure. Have your business card ready next time. Let's just say, here, you want to make it yourself? Here's the pattern. Go for it.
That's it.
I love that. But are there patterns that you feel like you want to explore, or let's say styles, crochet styles you want to explore but really haven't yet as a designer? Or do you feel like you want to just stick with what you do?
um I think my first sort of go to patterns to design are garments. I think that's what I like and that's what I enjoy. Sometimes you kind of get like an impulse feeling like, oh, I
Mhm.
actually like that. Shall I make one, or shall I try it? Why not? But yeah, I think predominantly when my kind of brain is set that way. When I
Yeah.
think, like when I look at yarn, or when I think, oh, what shall I work on next? I instantly think women's garments,
Yeah.
and anything else that comes after it is kind of like a second. I don't ever get an idea, oh, I want to design a pillow, like, no.
Yeah, totally makes sense. So, what inspires you though when it comes to carving? Since that's what you do, like, is it nature? Is it an idea you see in a magazine? You kind of bring up that you do look at different things, but uh, like, how does it? I mean, at some point you feel like, oh, another cardigan, or is it really something like, oh, I just love it. I just want to do more. What else can I do with cardigans?
um I think it's mostly what, when I get to kind of draw up an idea, I think it's something what I would like to wear.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really what, whether I don't know whether I've seen it in the magazine, or whether it's color that inspires me, or like a texture, different stitches.
Yeah,
But at the end of the day, it's something that I'm making for myself, what I would like to wear. And yeah, I mean, I do follow, a few little fashion trends, or you see something on
yeah.
Pinterest, or something pops up on Instagram and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm sort of thinking, if I wouldn't wear it, I'm not gonna crochet it.
Yeah, I love that though. That keeps it a little bit more in, for me, my brain, my ADD brain will go everywhere. It's like, oh, I want this, I want this, I want this. And you're a little bit more focused, which I love. I wish to be like that because I feel like I want to do everything. There's certain times of the year I want to just do hats. The other times I want to just do shawls and things like that, or bags. So I love that. I really love that. So how would you then describe your style if you really just do cardigans? Do you feel like it's more the modern, more the traditional? How would you describe your style?
Well, I would like to think that it's modern, hopefully, and some kind of timeless pieces, something really wearable, like a timeless piece. Because I mean, let's be honest, crocheting a cardigan or a sweater takes ages. Let's be honest, it's
Yeah.
it's not something you can pick up in one evening. So
Yeah.
I want the designs to be kind of last the test of time, that
Oh, yeah.
if people invest all that energy and all the time into making one, that
Yeah.
it's not just going to be for one season, it's not just going to be for one summer or one winter. So I
Yeah.
really hope that the style kind of translates into modern and timeless.
I love that. Now, how long does it take you to design a crochet cardigan? Does it really, I mean, you said it takes a long time, which I get. I've tried it many times. Some of them successful, some of them not. But how long, like knowing that you've done this now so many times, how long does it take you typically to crochet a cardigan on an average?
um Obviously, if I'm talking days or weeks, it takes ages because family and life and everything else that gets thrown into the mix. But I think on average, on hours, I would probably, if I sit down and really give it time, you could probably think about 50 plus hours, somewhere around 50 hours. I think if you could just really sit and focus for that amount of time, I think you would make one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. But you mentioned you have kids and a husband, obviously. So how would they feel about that you turned your crochet hobby into a business? And how would are they like really like, my husband loves to look at different fibers now and things, but how are your kids and your husband, reacting to that?
Well, my husband is very proud, which he's very proud of how far I've come from, just doing a few designs for a magazine
Yeah.
to having this, audience and community and people that support you. So yeah, very proud. The kids are sort of too young. I mean, my younger one is only 2.5, and
Hmm.
my older boy is 7. So unless it's in Minecraft or on
Yeah.
PlayStation, it's like boxed vision. So yeah, but they know Mummy plays with yarn quite a lot. They know that there's yarn all around the house, and it's
Yeah.
upstairs, it's downstairs, it's on that shelf, and there's
Yeah.
a bag of yarn there, and there is a box that arrives, and another box, and another box. So
Yeah.
they are aware, but yeah, I'm pretty sure they're proud if you ask them.
Yeah, when you just said that, it reminds me of that a meme that I saw recently. It was like a craft store. What goes in a craft store doesn't stay in a craft store. It always spills everywhere into the entire house.
Yeah, it does indeed. Yes.
Oh my gosh. But have they, considering that they're young, there must be kind of some way curious though what this thing is that you're playing around with. Are they ever interested in playing around with it themselves, like messing up your skein or something? Has anything ever happened?
um Not so much messing up, but I remember I was working on one project, and it had a few stripes of black yarn, and I was at the end of the project, and I was sewing the ends, and I think this was one of my commissions for magazines
Yeah.
before, so there was quite a few different colors, but one of them was black, and I remember I kind of sewed all the ends in and finished with the project. And I remember my older boy now, who he was younger then, he was probably about 2 or 3. And I remember I was in the kitchen and it was like, Mummy, Mummy, Mummy. And I was like, okay, what happened? So I kind of turned around and I, didn't know what to expect. And it was like, Mummy, there's a spider. And I'm like, I mean, me and spiders, like, that's a massive no. Like, I
Yeah.
don't do spiders. I don't like them. Don't come into my house. No. She was like, Mummy, Mummy, there's a spider. And I mean, I was stood in the kitchen, so it was quite a distance. And I can see this big thing on the carpet, like big. And I was like, absolutely not. If that is a spider, I'm literally packing my suitcase and I'm off until the husband comes in, because I am not, like, I'm not even getting anywhere closer to this. And I remember he kind of said, Mummy, Mummy, you have to get rid of this spider, get rid of this spider. And I'm like, like, then I'm thinking, okay, he's my child. I am the mum. I should be the adult and, like, help him.
Yeah.
Very, very torn between yes or no, but I thought, okay, I've got to help him. I've got to go over there and I've got to get rid of the spider. So armed with a big glass and to kind of just put on top, because that's as far as I go.
Yeah.
I was kind of approaching this thing on a carpet. I'm like, please, 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 just don't move, just don't run, because when they
Yeah.
start running really fast, I'm like, I freak out. Like, I'm gone. I'm done. Like, I go weak in my knees. Like, it goes wide in front of my eyes. Yeah. But I approached this thing on a carpet with a big glass to kind of like go and put it over the top so it doesn't go anywhere, only to realize it was a piece of yarn.
Oh my God, I love it. I
So
mean, the roller
I was
coaster.
relieved.
roller coaster that you must have gone through. I mean, I love how you described it. It was literally, I felt like I was right there. And then,
Yep.
I'm like, oh, it's just yarn. That's hilarious. But I'm sure you were sweating and you're like,
Oh
just
my
calm
God.
down. It took you forever to calm down. I just can imagine the feeling of it. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, the shaky hands, weaker the knees. Yeah, I don't like spiders.
Oh my
Not yarn
God.
spiders, not real spiders. No spiders at all.
Oh my God, that is so funny. But let me bring you back to your sweaters because I know you have an ebook about sweaters. So why don't you tell us about that a little bit? Because I think it's genius. I mean, you're the perfect person to write something like this.
So yeah, I've got an ebook of 6 of my designs. They are all sweaters for different seasons. I mean, when I say for different season, I'm talking UK weather.
Yeah.
So you know, it's. I mean, it's summer now and it's not that hot, so you could probably get away with wearing a sweater in the evening.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's an ebook of 6 different designs. Um, and it basically come about when people ask me, like, because some of my audience is really used to bundles. They
Yeah.
like bundles. They like the bargain. They like
Yeah.
the so many patterns for quite a low discounted price because
Hmm.
they're getting a real good value. So I had a few messages saying, don't you have like bundles of your patterns, bundles of your sweaters? And I'm like, sure I do, just give me a minute.
I love
So
it.
yeah, I basically grouped my sweater designs that are on the blog and put them in a nice shiny ebook for people to enjoy. And it's a really great price because if you just like 2 designs out of the 6,
Yeah.
you'll get your money's worth. And maybe one day you'll fall in love with the other sweater and make all of them.
I love that. And it's not just, you don't have to do just sweaters for yourself. You can do it for others too. They're always a nice gift, especially for those you really care about. And they're great hand-me-downs, I mean, I
Yeah.
remember having some of them still for my grandma that I would be handing down to my kids. So that's really, really sweet. And I love that. So if anyone wants to grab this amazing sweater or learn more about Veronika and her story, and of course, her newsletter, her channel, everywhere. Go follow her. She's amazing. Thank you so much for being here, Veronika. I really, really enjoyed it. And I hope everyone has a great day. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Thank you for having me. Bye.